Good evening, everyone. This is March 22nd, and this is the Raynham Board of Selectmen meeting. May I have the acceptance of the minutes, please?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This evening, we have our health agent, Dave Flaherty. Dave, do you want to give your report?
Sure.
Dave is also filling in for Randy this evening because Randy is out, not feeling too great, so
Okay.
Dave's taking over for Randy.
Thank you. I'll put on my health agent hat now. Good evening, Madam Chairperson, members of the board. Everything's going well with the health department. We're all caught up on permits. We're starting to send out the stable permit applications now. Already gotten a few back. Things are looking pretty good. The current issue that we've discussed over the past few months is changing the age for purchasing tobacco from 18 to 21. And I've been working with Superintendent Swenson, is that his name?
Yes.
Thank you. I got a brain cramp for a minute there. And we're trying to get a program going where we can do some compliance checks. In the meanwhile, our neighbors to the north, Easton, have implemented a 21-year-old minimum age for purchasing tobacco. So now, Raynham is in a position where we've got two contiguous neighbors to our north and our east that are at 21 years old for purchasing tobacco. I think what I would recommend at this point would be perhaps maybe next week or the week after, have a public comment period where we can have anyone who wants to discuss how they feel about, changing the age to 21. And then the week after, I would recommend raising the minimum age for purchasing tobacco products to 21. But that's just my recommendation, of course, however you feel about it,
Well, I think that's something to think about. Obviously, that was why we brought the subject up to begin with, because all of our neighbors seem to be doing that. There's also something in the state, is there not a bill in the state
Yeah.
in order to do it statewide?
Yeah.
So, I don't know do you know when that's coming up, Joe?
Probably never.
No,
He's so
I know. Boston's gone
positive.
there.
God. But that's important to know. Maybe we could get a hold of our representative and have him come in and tell us where that stands.
Okay.
And the compliance, are you going to go forward?
Yeah, I'm still trying to hash out the details on trying to get some, usually it'd be like honor students or kids that want to do community service. And then it just be, the devil's in the details, trying to get permission and just a chaperone probably to go with them, with me. And then I think at that point we would just sort of concentrate on Broadway and 138.
Yeah, just check with the police department,
Okay.
because they certainly know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I would like to do that, as Joe had suggested before, which I thought was a good suggestion, to try this compliance first, see how
Okay.
that works. In the
Okay.
meantime, perhaps you could get a hold of Mr. D'Amelia and see where that bill stands.
Okay.
And then we can go from, we can go from there. Is that all right with you two?
No, I agree, and I think, Madam Chair, Easton just did one of these compliance checks. I thought that's what you were going to talk about
Yeah.
when you brought up Easton. They just did it in 3 or 4 different establishments were found guilty of selling to minors.
Yeah, that usually happens when they do make the change from 18 to 21.
Yeah.
Either it's just, there hasn't been enough training
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Did they do the compliance before?
I didn't.
Then went to the 21 because of the compliance?
I don't know, and because I didn't know that they had switched to 21 yet. But I had read that they did the compliance, and either 3 or 4 establishments failed, and they were pretty hefty fines. 1 month no sales, 2 months no sales fines. But to my point at the past meeting, I think the first is to gauge what type of issue, if any, we do have in town.
Mm.
So why don't we go
I'll
from
check
there?
with the police department.
Would you please?
And
Yeah.
the appropriate detective or whomever, and, because I'm sort of running out of time with the school department, but, yeah, it sounds like they might have a better
Yeah.
avenue.
They probably have the people that would even do it for you,
Okay.
so whatever.
Sounds
Okay?
good.
That
Thank you.
works out good. We don't have any appointments this evening and no public hearings, but we do have some new business, and that is the interviews for the planning director. We have, Mr. Duff is here because I just saw him in the hall.
I think he's right there. Dave, do you mind seeing if you
Sure.
can get him?
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you. Would you like me?
At the podium,
Oh, okay.
sir, please. We make use of our podium whenever we
Okay.
can.
Sure.
Mr. Duff, this is Joseph Pacheco and Karen Roberts, two other selectmen.
Hi, folks.
I have asked you all the questions I'm going to ask you, already did all that, but I would like, please, maybe for 1 minute, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, and then they will ask you questions in return.
Sure. Well, briefly, I've worked in numerous municipal capacities, mainly planning and community and economic development. As you can see from my resume, I worked in the City of Salem Planning Department. I was the transportation planner there. I was also in that capacity, I was the mayor's representative on the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, which is the equivalent of what you have down here in SPRED. Same thing, the regional planning agency. I ran the community and economic development office under the aegis of the planning department in Wilmington. That was CDBG funded. I also worked in the Clinton Community and Development Department. Over and above that, I was executive director for 6 years of the South Shore Economic Development Corporation, which is a subsidiary of the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. It's almost the identical entity to what you have down here in Seed. You know what I'm talking about? You know Seed in Taunton. It's the same thing, only it's up in Quincy. Well, they was in Quincy. The chamber since relocated to Rockland, but they cover the whole South Shore, that whole area, mainly Plymouth and Norfolk counties. And in that position, we brokered significant SBA loans for growing businesses on the South Shore. And just to back up, we did, on a smaller scale, we did the same thing in Wilmington when I was in that position. In addition, I was executive director of the Dedham Western Water District, which took in 2 towns, handled the water for the 2 towns, not sewer, just water. And in that capacity, I spoke before the Z boards, the planning boards, the Concoms, the economic development committees for both towns on a regular basis, among other things. So I've got quite a bit of experience in municipal government, particularly on the planning side. And I have, in particular, economic and community development experience, and also being able to coordinate different entities in cities and towns that would try to facilitate projects that would have a positive outcome. And I'll give you one. I talked to Maria about this the last time. When I was the transportation planner in Salem, we were the senior partner on a 3 municipality project between Salem, Swampscott, and Marblehead. And I had to deal with the planning boards in both Swampscott and Marblehead on a traffic improvement project in what is called Vinnon Square. It's where those 3 cities and towns come together. It was just a horrendous traffic situation, 5 points, really, of traffic. And we coordinated in such a way that it didn't negatively impact the business community, but made it a lot safer. So I had to deal with not only with our own planning people in Salem, but with the planning boards and the boards of selectmen in both Swampscott and Marblehead. So I've had a lot of experience on the regional level as well. So that's what I think I bring, the type of experience I bring to this type of position, which I think is invaluable.
Mike or Mike? Mike.
Either way, doesn't
Okay.
matter, Joe.
Appreciate you coming in. I thank you for that and your interest in the position.
Sure.
A few questions for you. The first that jumps out at me is twofold. It's your time in Clinton.
Yeah.
Only a year of employment. And since that time, no other economic or planning experience?
Right.
Or,
That's because, Joe, that was, and like I told Marie and the other folks, that was strictly a 1-year grant-funded position.
okay.
It was strictly CDBG, wasn't permanent. I knew that going in.
Yeah,
But I figured I'd do it, kept me busy
Sure.
and doing something I liked.
Sure.
So it was worth it, even though, it was an hour commute.
Sure.
Which was pretty tough.
Yeah.
In the winter. So I knew that going in.
Okay.
And then after that, I was able to get what I'm doing now as an educational assistant in the Canton Public Schools, which is close to home.
Yeah.
I've interviewed, and I've said this to Marie and the other fellas and ladies in the last interview, I'm interviewing for positions in planning and economic development that I really like. I'm not looking to go to, for instance, Fall River or Chicopee.
Yeah.
I want to be reasonably close to where I live.
Sure.
And that's why the town of Raynham position jumped out at me. It's a suburban town. I've had a lot of experience in the suburbs, particularly with the South Shore Chamber, it's a suburban chamber, and also in Dedham and Westwood, too, and for that matter, Wilmington and Clinton.
Sure.
So I've had a lot of experience that way, and Raynham matches up very similar to some of the cities and towns I've worked in. So that's why it caught my eye, and that's why I'm here.
Well, that was my next question.
Sure.
My final one is, I'm not going to hold against you the fact that you worked for the T.
Yeah, hey, listen, believe me, Joe, I just lucked into it.
Yeah.
It's a long story. I was working for the city of Salem. I'm sorry, Nickstadt. I was working for the city of Lowell in the old, back then, it was the old SETA administration, Comprehensive Employment and Training Act. They later changed to the Job Training Partnership Act. The Office of Employment and Training is essentially what it was. And I got a chance to go to make a lot more money at the T in project management, but it's just, don't get me going on the T. I could go on forever. Now I did gain a lot of experience in project management, I will say, design and construction. So it did help me that way, but it's just a different animal.
It is.
Completely, Either you're gonna hold it against me because I'm a Yankee fan. That's
No.
because I'm from New Jersey.
Sure.
Northern New Jersey, and I grew up just outside of New York City, so I'm a Yankee.
Couldn't tell that.
Yeah, I know, you couldn't tell that.
So,
Yeah.
my last question, Madam
Yeah.
Chair. In regards to this position, and you're relatively close in Canton, I have a good friend of mine, one of your selectmen in Canton.
Sure.
And so there are some...
Which one?
You had to ask. Salvatore.
Okay,
Jerry
sure,
Salvatore.
sure,
Yeah.
yep.
So, what do you see as your strengths to this position in terms of where you see the vision of Raynham if you got this position going?
Okay, well, because I think it is, Joe, because I live in, Canton's very similar, for one thing, to Raynham. There's a lot of similarities. Both very nice, small towns. And also, the types of diverse businesses that Canton has, I think Raynham has got the same kind of capabilities there. You've got 138. 138, by the way, is in Canton, goes all the way up, it actually goes right into Mattapan, or through Milton anyway. So there's a lot of similarities there. Plus, Raynham has a lot of similarities to Dedham and Westwood, particularly Westwood. Very similar in size, very similar type of town, too, okay? And it's got a business district like it with upscale businesses. So, and I had to do a lot with economic development in those towns in my position with the water district. That's why they hired me. They recruited me, actually, because they wanted somebody who knew something about that, because they had two big projects going in there, one in Dedham Legacy Place, the other one in Westwood, the Westwood Station project. So, I see a lot of similarities in those towns, between those towns and Raynham. And I've had a lot of political experience, as you can see from my resume. I've dealt with a lot of elected officials and board members, both elected and appointed, in all my positions. So, I feel like I bring that to the table, too.
Good.
So, just
Perfect.
briefly, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
You kind of answered my first question, which was going to be that you have such a vast experience in what drew you to the town, but you kind of just answered that you
Okay,
think
Karen.
it's
Sure.
similar to your town and,
Sure.
and things like that. So my second question was, there any thoughts on something that you think the town needs to improve on in this area and that you would bring to it?
Okay, I would say, what I would say is not, this is something that's a positive thing for Raynham, that as opposed to where my mother used to live in Duxbury. And I think that you folks have a good outlook and would be positive and proactive in this way. Duxbury years ago refused to allow Ocean Spray to bring not their plant now, okay? their corporate offices in, which would have increased their tax base and brought new jobs to the area, because they're so anti-business and anti, for lack of a better phrase, flavor of the town, that they wouldn't consider anything, even something like a corporate office, which, by the way, let me emphasize, it wasn't their plant that's gonna, make the town, downgrade the town, if that's a word you want to use. I would say that Raynham has the foresight that Duxbury doesn't have, and would be willing to do something along the lines of not saying no to Ocean Spray if they wanted to bring their corporate offices here, which would expand the tax base. That's where I think it's similar to Canton, because we have a very, very strong industrial tax base in Canton. Even though it's a beautiful town, we have some on the outskirts of town, on 138, and also in the Shawmut Center, we have a lot of corporations, a lot of big businesses. And then, of course, we have our downtown district, too. So I think Raynham has a lot of similarities that way, and it wouldn't make the same kind of foolish mistakes that I think Duxbury's made. Duxbury, I mean, my mother lived there for years, and, their property taxes are through the roof. They're outrageous. I mean, it's a beautiful town, but, they're getting clobbered. And I think that, so I think that my feeling is that Raynham has that ability to see the benefits, to keep the New England, the rustic New England aspect of the town, but also at the same time increase economic development and increase the tax base. So that's what I would say.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it?
That's all I have.
Okay. Is that it? That's it, Marie? Okay.
Thank you for stopping in.
Okay.
And Randy will get in touch with you one way or the other.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Want me to check and see if Tim's out there?
I think he is.
Yeah, Debbie was right there. Bite your tongue. We have another applicant here on his way in. Timothy, how are you?
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Tim, I'd like you to meet Joe Pacheco and Karen Roberts, who are the other two members of the board. Okay, it was very nice
Nice to meet you.
to have you come back in. I'm not going to ask you any questions because I've already gone through everything with you. What I would like you to do, though, is for about a minute, maybe tell the board a little bit about yourself, and then Joe and Karen will ask you the questions that they are interested in, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Right ahead, sir.
My name is Tim Anasio. I was born in Springfield, Mass. Grew up in Springfield and Chicopee. After undergrad, I started my career as a probation officer in Arizona. I sort of took the approach that I was looking for anywhere I could work in law enforcement field, and I moved out there. Had a good career out there. I was laid off in 2008, 2009 actually, due to the recession. It was a temporary furlough. Wanted to be a federal agent. Kind of had all my eggs in that basket. Went that route, and it was put on hold actually because I was 30 years old at the time, and I'd have till 35 to get on. There was a 5-year freeze on hiring federal agents. So the choice came to either study planning at UMass Amherst or to go back and take my previous job. I started at UMass Amherst in 2010, graduated 2013, went to work for the State of Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency for about a year, doing construction management, drainage retrofitting projects, and for the last 2 years I've been the planning director in Gloucester, Rhode Island.
Very good. Joseph?
Well, you answered my first question, how you go from probation to planning. Because that was one I just couldn't wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Sure enough, you were able to do it. So, I'm not familiar at all with Gloucester, Rhode Island. Can you tell me if you see any similarities between here and there, and if there are or aren't, how do you think that allows you to fit in here?
Sure. Similarities, what I could see off the bat is population is very similar in itself, and that's honestly about it. As far as the tracts of land, our minimum is 2 acres, and I think the largest in Raynham is about an acre. I think it's 40,000 square feet. So we don't have water or sewer. Raynham does have it. Primarily, I mean, it's mainly residential, which I think Raynham is as well. Route 44 runs through Gloucester. That's a similarity too, because it runs through Raynham. And off the bat, I think it's a very different community, which is why I'm very interested in Raynham. I like the community I'm in right now, but I'm very limited as far as service connections, as far as infrastructure is concerned. So that would be basically the only similarities that I see outside of the normal day-to-day planning things, so.
Okay. My only other question, a few years ago, we made the decision to transition the position from planning to economic community development, planning, zoning, really encompass everything, because to us, economic development's, it's huge. We have, in my opinion, one of the best industrial parks in the Commonwealth. And that's really, to me, the only thing it seems like you're lacking is the economic development component of it. And so what is your comfort level on that, and what do you see as your abilities to work with us to bring in new businesses?
Sure, that's a great question, actually. Well, UMass Amherst, where I went, was actually focused on, they were the planning school for economic development. I've helped with the town of Belchertown as far as architectural design standards for commercial development, complete zoning rewrite for the town of Ware I worked on, primarily geared towards economic development. And I'm actually, that's one of the parts of my job that I actually have some experience in Gloucester, because that's a lot of what I was hired for, to bring in that business. The issue is that, like I was saying, is that the infrastructure is a problem, but we do reach out to we use CDBG funds to try to help homeowners and small business owners, and we offer density bonuses, zone changes, because it works a little bit different in Rhode Island, semantics really, as far as changing zones for business owners. Work heavily on the site plan review process. We actually reach out to business owners. We've had folks come forward, for instance, saying they wanted a Cracker Barrel in town and we're working on industrial parks, so we'll actually reach out and meet with folks for these businesses and sort of reel people in. But I think the biggest thing is that the infrastructure and dimensionally and through zoning and through regulation, I think it's something, a component I can definitely bring to the table. I know a lot of the most recent programs, like as far as GIS is concerned and CAD is concerned, I think I can offer different vantage points as far as the land and how it's laid out right now. So I think that's certainly things that I can certainly work with the town of Raynham on, and certainly bring something positive forward. So.
Good, thank you, that's all I have.
Karen?
What do you think of 138? It's, in my opinion, it's kind of not underdeveloped, but it needs a lot more work. Do you see anything, what's your future plans that you could see developing over there?
Sure. I haven't actually been on Route 138 yet. I know 44 and 138 are the major commercial corridors, but I think just the density and the existing commercial businesses there offer opportunities going forward. Certainly, like I had said before, with water and sewer, I think that's a big thing. I think it certainly cuts down a lot of the review time. It certainly cuts down a lot of the constraints as far as development is concerned. So, I mean, I look forward as to really getting in and really doing some denomination and delineation of and some just overall assessment of that whole area. So,
very good. Do you think living in Rhode Island would be an issue for you, like the commuting back and forth, or?
I'm actually looking to move to Massachusetts.
Okay.
That's I feel the planning system over here has much more oversight. I think it's a lot better. I'm at that point. I've been there 3 years now, and I actually welcome moving to this area, which I like a lot, to be honest with you. I think it has great proximity to Boston, Providence, the Cape, Western Mass, where I'm from. You got a lot of good commercial. You have a lot of good access points. I mean, you have 24, you have 495 and 95. Got a lot of projects in town that, as far as the commuter rail project that's happening here, the development on 138 and 44. Long story short, I want to move to this area. I'm actually looking forward to it. So.
Very good. Well, I was going to say what drew you to Raynham, but you kind of just answered that one. I'm trying to think. I think where you lack experience, you have the foresight and you want to learn, and you want to be that person that, you know what I mean? You don't have a calculated notion of how you think things should be, and you have that ability to see things beyond and learn, so I think that's a good quality.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. All done.
Okay. Again, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, great, thanks for having me.
And Mr. Buckner will get in touch with you, one way or the other,
Okay,
and we appreciate it.
sure, thank you so much, I really
Is there anything
appreciate
you'd
it.
like to say? Please, go right ahead.
I did jot some things down. There were more as far as, when I was doing my research for the position, I wasn't picking out things that I would change, I was more picking out things, semantics things, really, just comparisons to Gloucester and Rhode Island in general. So I did have some questions, but some of them are pretty specific, I don't know. Residential zones, C and A, they seem to be the same use, but are the dimensions different as far as square footage? So I had like some specific questions like that. So I think without the zoning ordinance, I don't know if they could be answered, so I apologize in advance. So yeah, I apologize.
Commercial, residential, yeah,
There's C and A.
C and A.
Because I found the dimensional table, but I couldn't find the use table. But I just went through the website, so that's when I was looking, I said they seem to be similar usage, but the dimensions might be different, or they might be the same. I'm
Is
not,
it because they'd have water and sewer?
I don't know.
Might be due to different parts of town where they're located, but I don't know, I'd have to talk to Bob.
Well, you really threw one at us, didn't you?
yeah, I apologize.
That's pretty doggone good.
I apologize.
Glad you did that. No, it just goes to show, we don't know everything. We don't know everything. But we certainly can give you an answer, and that is, if you just check back with me, I'll be glad to tell you
No,
what it is.
That's the answer I always give too. So I completely agree.
All right, what's your next one that you're going to blow us out of the water with?
A lot of them have to do basically procedurally, as far as, for instance, in Rhode Island, we have, and I've learned the mass process too, but in Rhode Island, we have master plan, preliminary plan, and final plan. And here is preliminary plan, definitive plan, so I was sort of trying to piece them together. Had some questions about certificates of incompleteness, and it seems to me that wetlands can be incorporated into the calculation with regards to open space, which I think is a great idea, to be honest with you, but I didn't know if it was because the parcels seem to be smaller in Raynham, because it's more developed in the community I come from, so just sort of questions like that, and actually things that I looked at it and sort of convinced myself that this is the place I want to be, so like I said, I was just looking for sort of positive things and trying to fit them in, so, uses more differential than existing use. Sorry. And then I had some questions about like non-conforming usage. Permit authority must find that extended use is not more differential than the existing use. I wanted like some clarification on that. I think I get the gist of it, but yeah, but boring question, so I apologize. I apologize in advance.
Boring.
But maybe a procedural one. When are you looking to fill the position?
Well, Randall is out sick right now, so when he gets back, we had a timetable that we wanted to do it within a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay, great.
So you certainly
Perfect.
will know quite quickly.
Sure.
And we're certainly going to go back and do our homework, let me tell you.
I've never heard of C before, so,
I didn't either.
but we'll find out. And if you want to email those over to Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Certainly.
definitely call Randall, because Randall he's the brains of the outfit. He knows everything about everything.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have many other questions as I'm trying to swallow the elephant, but very excited, and like I said.
Maureen didn't come up. Did anybody tell Maureen to come up? Oh, I didn't ask Debbie, because she could have answered all of those questions.
Yeah, right.
See, and she'd be the one that would be answering stuff like that.
Yeah,
But at
Maureen-
any rate, yes.
Residential C is mobile home.
Oh, that's right, it is. Oh, my gosh. I should have known that.
it's
We have two mobile home parks in the town. And at the time, they wanted to segregate that as a special designation, and that's what they made residential C, is only for mobile homes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Only for the mobile home parks themselves, yeah.
Yes.
And that makes sense why it hasn't come up, because there hasn't been a new park
In,
30 years.
Yeah.
So,
in over 30 years, we haven't had a new park in town,
Oh, now,
because they have to be licensed, and
Right, and that's, I was going to say, they have to be proportionally
Yes.
merged, essentially. And was that sort of a thing in the past? Was it, the example I'll give is, with the town of Ware, I was on a project where we would have these mobile homes, and they'd be a bit antiquated from the 1950s, and they'd be on postage-size stamp lots when they were individual ownership.
Other than in a mobile home
In a
park.
mobile home park. Yeah, and that's how it's gotten now, that you have to be in a mobile home park, but I didn't know if it was sort of, if it was individual lots, individual mobile homes on lots, and they were sort of encompassed into a mobile home park, like historically? No.
A person comes in with acreage, applies for, that's how it started. They came in with acreage, they wanted to build a mobile home park.
Manufactured housing.
Manufactured houses. Oh, my God, I've corrected twice, been
Mr.
corrected twice on
Mr.
mobile homes. I
The
don't
Miller
believe it.
boys are always correcting me, that's why I'm,
Well, they changed that, you know. They started out, they were called trailers.
I don't know.
And then the people who lived in them did not like the idea that they were trailers, so they decided to call themselves mobile homes. But they had no wheels on them, so that was kind of like foolish. So now the industry has, and thank you for correcting me, decided that they would be called manufactured homes. But in essence, they're the same home. They've all been the same home. And they don't have modulars in their parks either. It's only manufactured homes.
Yeah, manufactured.
Because modular homes are a little different than mobile. Manufactured. They are manufactured, but they are still different.
All homes are manufactured,
All homes may be manufactured, but there's a difference between,
manufactured.
And actually in Gloucester, we have, I actually had a mobile home replacement program. It's a very popular thing there, and actually we've been able to tie it into our affordable housing number, our total number for affordable
see, now you
housing.
can't do that in a mobile manufactured home park. God, I'm going to
Yep.
insist on calling
But
them
that's state
mobiles.
law, not local.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Attorney General did that.
And I think I have one more question about the master plan, we call it comp plan in Rhode Island, the master plan. How often is it updated in Raynham, and when was the recent
gosh,
update?
the last
10 years.
time, at least 10 years
And
ago.
it's probably due now. I think it was probably '06 around that we did the last one.
Last one?
I can remember sitting on the committee, but I can't remember.
I think it was around '06, '06, '07.
And has state law changed and mandated every 10 years? I know a couple of years ago it wasn't every 10 years, but have they
It's
added that
due.
provision?
I know that
Yeah.
much. It's due to get, brought back up again and get revised.
Oh, okay, that's great.
That would be a great job.
Yeah, that's terrific. I actually enjoyed working on ours.
Did
so-
ya?
But people call me crazy for it, but I did. Yeah, I think that's all I had, so I appreciate you having me, and I really hope you consider me, because I'm very excited for the job, so.
Thank you very much, Tim, for
Great,
coming
thank
in.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks, folks, nice to meet you.
Okay. Do we have any old business?
We're gonna leave,
Oh, okay.
because you're probably gonna discuss, so we will leave. You coming? Have a good night.
Thank you.
Any old business, Karen? We do not have a...
I have a
Oh,
town-
oh, my goodness, we have a town administrator's report.
In lieu of Mr. Buckner.
In lieu of Mr. Buckner, please.
I would be happy to report, the town administrator's report. On Thursday, March 24th, day after tomorrow, police union negotiations will begin at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Just also another reminder, the rabies clinic will be held this Saturday behind the fire station in the garage. That's March 26th from noon to 2. And then next Monday, March 28th, bids are opening for the senior center roof at 2 PM. We'll be starting to take bids.
Thank you
That
very
is the town administrator's reports respectfully submitted by David Flaherty.
Thank you. Did you get that? Any questions?
None, thank you.
Thank you.
Selectmen's report.
None tonight, Madam Chair.
Nothing.
Nothing. The only thing I have tonight is just very quickly, there is for the benefit of the RAVE volunteers, there's a salute to veterans on the parade meeting at 7 o'clock on Monday, the 28th. So anyone who's interested in participating in the parade, or interested or has any information regarding anything to do with the parade, please be at the Merrill School, 7 o'clock on Monday evening. That's all I have. Okay, correspondence. Mass Highway, for its Chapter 90 reimbursements, I need a vote for 2. The project request was approved, $280,768 at 100% reimbursement rate. So I need a vote for this.
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the second is, request was approved for $304,930.79 at 100% reimbursement.
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those two have to be signed. Okay. There was a bid process conducted for the award of the chemical applications to the Parks and Grounds, and Yukon Landscaping was the low and only bidder for a total bid of $7,350 per application. Total bid, $29,400 for 2 years of their contract.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The House Budget Committee is preparing its fiscal 2017 state budget. Please call your representatives today and secure their pledge to support the $42 million increase in unrestricted municipal and higher Chapter 70 minimum aid and full funding for key education and municipal reimbursements and grants. They keep cutting back on our Chapter 70 money, and it's very important for us to be able to get as much as we can. Our school systems really need it. Okay, a request for a tag day for the New England Shockwave softball on Fridays, June 3rd, June 10th, and June 17th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a letter requesting, well, this is a letter to request a mobile home at 951 Locust Street. As you probably read in the newspaper, they had a fire at that address, and they would like a mobile home to be able to be put on their home.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is regarding, obviously, proper utilities, et cetera, so you make sure that you take care of all of that.
They have already, the building permit's already come through, so
Okay.
they're ready to go.
Good. That's rabies. This is just a new certificate that is needed. It's not a change of address, but a change of address on the form. It seems as though he put another entrance in, and therefore they need to change their address, and that was the Campus Inn of Raynham. They now have 2 entrances, so that's just a change that they'd like on there. So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
No press time, no emergency business. Our citizens have given their information and left the room, so I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for sharing this half hour with us,
My pleasure.
and thank you, sir. We appreciate you standing in for Randy.
I'll be going by Attleboro Thursday. The Bristol County Mosquito Control Program is doing an open house,
Oh, okay, good.
and I'll kind of see what's going on there. I know they're a lot farther away now, but,
Mhm.
hopefully I'll make sure that the program director stays in touch with us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.